It's Michael Douglas. Welcome to another edition of Dr. Pundit, where we talk about music, not medicine. And with all the commentary and well-deserved remembrances of contemporaries with respect to the death of Brian Wilson a couple of days ago, it got me to thinking about Wilson Phillips. Yeah, I know. Wilson Phillips, they had a great year in the 1990s, in 1990, and really didn't last much longer than that. Basically, a couple of albums and a greatest hits album, and poof, they were gone. But Brian Wilson had two daughters that were two-thirds of that group, Carney and Wendy Wilson. Now, that got me to thinking about the time they hit number one in the summer of 1990, which is a song that went on to become the biggest song of 1990, Hold On, and the timing of that number one. And did you know that song hit number one exactly 25 years after the Beach Boys did the same thing? And I would call this more of a personal record, for chart geeks and things like that. And, I wouldn't expect the general public to know anything about that, especially the timing of a number one hit. But, for those of us who really watch the charts and obsess over the charts, that it is kind of cool. Now, as I said, Carney and Wendy Wilson were daughters of Brian Wilson, who just passed away, of course. China Phillips, the lead singer of the group, was a daughter of Michelle and John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas. And these three made up Wilson Phillips. And 1990 to 1993 or so, they really took the pop music world by storm. And they were up against Mariah Carey and Lisa Stansfield for Best New Artist at the Grammys. And thankfully, Mariah was chosen. Girl's career is going strong 35 years later, so props to Mariah. But that doesn't diminish the popularity of Wilson Phillips, of course, and this kind of timing of their number one smash, Hold On, from 1990, I think is pretty cool. Help Me Rhonda hit number one by the Beach Boys in June of 1965. 25 years later, June of 1990, the Wilson Phillips trio hit number one with Hold On, their first of three number one hits. Now, originally, Help Me Rhonda was on the Beach Boys' Today album, but was re-recorded and re-released on Summer Days and Summer Nights. It was their second number one single behind I Get Around, of course. And, it's well known about the travails of Brian Wilson. With regard to China Phillips, I'm really not focusing on her much in this video, except to say that she was the principal writer behind Hold On, Wilson Phillips's first number one. And it was a self-reflective kind of expose of a lot of personal stuff she was going through in her life as well. In 2020, she spoke to former American Idol winner and current talk show host Kelly Clarkson about these issues. She was going through substance abuse, breakup issues, and she basically said, I just said if I don't change my course, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. China Phillips based the lyrics on the tenets of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and the importance of taking recovery, quote, one day at a time. And this was principally seen in the lyric, if you could just hold on for one more day. Glenn Ballard was the principal producer for songs on Wilson Phillips' self-titled debut. He loved it, Carney and Wendy loved it, and it went on to be a number one hit. But there was something that China also remembered, that she was a little bit skittish about it because of the feedback from a person, I guess, who shall remain nameless. I remember one guy I played it for said, that's not a very good song. It's really corny. And I just remember thinking to myself, God, I hope he's wrong. Okay, it's a little bit kind of silly to kind of reduce that whole song to that, but I don't know. The death of Brian Williams sparks a lot of emotions in a lot of people. I decided to kind of pass on doing a tribute because I think a lot of people would be able to eulogize him a little bit better than I could. And I wasn't the biggest Beach Boys fan, can still listen to their music, but I think others have done that quite well. I talk about kind of the peripheries, and in this case, this is a kind of very peripheral to the fact that, and this is a song that basically hit number one around the same time, 25 years later. Personally, this was the summer before I started medical school. I started in the fall of 1990. I bought this CD, and I remember this track was everywhere. And at one time, this song, Hold On, occupied the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100, as did another song called Hold On by In Vogue, hit number two. So that's kind of a 6 degrees of separation thing. I'll just stop here and not go down. Benefit of the audience here. I'm Michael Douglas. If you like what you see here, including pontifications about things like this that, I guess have their own place, maybe on my channel, then please like and subscribe. And as the late great Barry White always used to say, let the music play, and I'll see you on the next episode.